name is Dr. Larkin Sanders, and I'm the Applied Clarinet Professor here at Washburn University. Today, I'm going to walk you through the excerpts for the soprano clarinet audition for the Kansas All-State Band auditions. The first excerpt comes from Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. I love this piece of music, and if you haven't sat down and listened to the whole thing, I really recommend that you do it because I think you'll love it too. When you're playing this in an audition, the judges are going to be listening to your ability to subdivide in 6/8 time and your ability to play with excellent dynamic contrast. You'll notice that it's marked adagio, which means very slow, and I take this excerpt at 8th note equals 80 beats per minute, so it's very, very slow. I recommend counting it with an 8th note pulse for ultimate accuracy and to maintain your adagio tempo. If you count it in too big of a subdivision, you might get ahead or lose your sense of time altogether. You'll also see that the excerpt starts at a mezzo forte dynamic and it crescendos into dolce, forte dolce, but then in the second line, you have 4 Ps, pianissimo, right? The softest you can physically play. And that's just there to show that you can play with excellent dynamic contrast. Because then you have, again, in a couple measures later, poco forte. So we're bringing the dynamic level back up. And if you can successfully execute this, you will really impress the judges. The next excerpt from This Cruel Moon by John Mackey exists so that the judges can hear a sense of your intonation, beauty of sound, in addition to your subdividing skills, much like the Symphonie Fantastique excerpt. You'll notice that this excerpt hangs out a lot around the throat tones, which is kind of a gnarly range of the clarinet. Lots of open Gs, As, Fs, and those notes are really hard to make sound beautiful. So really make sure that you're working with an excellent reed, that you have the best mouthpiece set up for you, and that you are putting enough air through the clarinet and not shying away from those throat tones. Putting a lot of air through the instrument and not shying away from your throat tones will ensure that the sound is beautiful. The excerpt from Festive Overture by Dmitri Shostakovich is a really fun excerpt to play. It's a real finger wiggler. In fact, your judges will be listening for your technical ability while playing this excerpt. You want to make sure that you're able to move quickly and smoothly and evenly across all these 8th notes. They'll also be listening for just a general sense of joy. You kind of want your happiness and the happiness of this excerpt to radiate across the screen or across the classroom to your judge. So remember to play this with the most happiness that your little heart can muster. Blue Shades by Frank Ticheli is another one of my favorite pieces, and I hope you get the opportunity to listen to the whole thing. This excerpt exists to show your flexibility in style, especially when it comes to jazz style. You'll see that it's marked swing 8ths at quarter note equals 160 to 168. I tend to prefer the slower tempos for most of these excerpts, mostly because if I practice them slower, they'll inevitably be a little bit faster in the actual audition, and keeping my tempo slow ensures that I have more control over my tempo in the actual moment. So make sure you're doing the swung 8th notes, that every other eighth note is long, every other eighth note is short, and that you're using all of the articulations that are written. These articulations, at least to me, are not very intuitive. I have to think really hard to make sure that I am putting my tongue on the reed at exactly the right time. So make sure you are checking your articulations and playing all these swung eighth notes accurately. The next two etudes come from Cyrille Rose's 32 etudes. The first one is a fast etude, and your judges are really going to be listening for your technique and articulation. In my opinion, there is only one kind of clarinet articulation, and all clarinet articulation is legato. Staccato comes from speed. So you'll see in the second line that you do have some staccato notes, but while you're learning how to play this and practicing it slowly, make sure you're practicing your legato articulation. Da, 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 da. Don't ever practice da, 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 because the faster you go, the more likely you are to be tongue-tied if you're practicing the articulations too short. Allow the speed to take care of the crisp articulation for you. In the last excerpt from Rose's 32 etudes, number 21, this is a slower etude marked andante cantabile, so kind of slow but in a singing style. It does need to have a little bit of forward momentum. Your judges are really going to be listening for your rhythm and subdivision. There's a theme here, can you tell? Rhythm is one of the most important parts of taking an audition, no matter if you are in high school auditioning for all district band or a professional auditioning for the New York Philharmonic. So make sure you really got your subdivisions down and that you're practicing this excerpt with an eighth note pulse. I practice this at eighth note equals 144 beats per minute for ultimate accuracy. The judges are also going to be listening for overall sound quality because this is a lyrical etude, and they're going to be listening for accidentals. You'll notice that this etude has 3 sharps in it, and it's in A major, and there are a lot of accidentals along the way. You've got to make sure that your accidentals are consistent and they're carrying through the measure when they appear, and that you're using the proper fingerings with your pinkies and other chromatic fingerings along the way. Yes, we can hear when you play the wrong fingering, and it sounds goofy. Otherwise, in this etude, enjoy the lyrical nature of it, add your own kind of dynamic flair, and make it sound as beautiful as you can. Thanks for watching this tutorial on the Kansas All-State Excerpts. Again, my name is Dr. Larkin Sanders, and I'm the Applied Clarinet Professor here at Washburn University. If you're interested in taking a lesson with me or coming over to see the campus, we'd love to have you. We have a great time in the clarinet studio here, and we would love you to be a part of it. You can find my contact information and more in the description below.